Hello and welcome to In the Art Scene podcast, an art podcast that has it all. I'm your host, Galina Marquez, and I invite fascinating people to talk about their personal creative journeys, success stories, and inspiration. We talk about art business and marketing, how to find your creative voice, and all the new trends in the art world like NFT, AI, and such. Join me and my guest for today's conversation. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to In the Art Scene podcast. I have, you guessed it, another amazing artist with me today. Her name is Cybele Rowe. She's originally from Australia. She resides here in Southern California, right by Joshua Tree, as she just told me. And oh my God, what kind of mediums are you not using? I think that's the easiest question. So
glass blowing, because I want to touch it. I had one go at it and it was so alluring. I just wanted to touch it, and I just realized this is not a good medium for me.
Oh, okay. Well,
I fell into it. Yeah, but I work in most mediums. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning. Why wouldn't you introduce yourself first, and then we'll go learn more about your story?
Okay. My name is Cybele Rowe, and I'm from Sydney, Australia. Sydney Harbour, actually. I grew up on the waterfront, so it was lots of water, big influence. And I went to art school, did a couple of degrees because I didn't know what to do. I wasn't the kid who was a protege. I failed art in school, never had any interest. I just had big hands, a wild spirit, and didn't had to go to college. That were the rules of my house, of my upbringing. So I went to art school, did a couple of degrees. I found ceramics because it was a lovely balance of science, so you could make all your own colours as well. And even though I went for sculpture and painting, not that I knew what that was. And then I realised that I could actually build. And then I got a scholarship from the Australian Arts Council, and travelled the world looking at things that I wanted to see, like the Codex Mendoza or the Book of Kells, or things that were interesting to me, anthropology stuff. Landed in New York, met the International Council of Museum of Modern Art, and they said, don't go home, live here. So I went home for a bit, boyfriends and stuff always get in the way. Not anymore, but I did. And then so I decided to go and live in New York. And then I did that for a decade, and I did some big shows, had some great times. Always just very focused on my own journey, because I wasn't interested in the arts. I don't read art magazines, love art books. Don't really care who's showing where, although I would love to see Cy Twombly he's up in Wilshire at the moment. But yeah, so basically it's a way of life, not a career. And then it ended up that you do anything long enough, you get good at it. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like it worked out well for you. So, yeah, you have some really, really amazing places where you showed, and some really great achievements up in your sleeve. So, you even lectured at the
for the International Council.
Smithsonian.
International Council. And I did some big stuff down there, Kennedy Center, World Bank, stuff like that. But it's irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant?
Because the art scene's irrelevant. Sorry, but doesn't make art, does it? The art scene doesn't make art. It just makes a scene for people to be able to coordinate or get funding or sell or climb a social ladder of some kind. I don't need any of that. I just build big sculptures, and now I'm on my own pad. People come to me. And I never really, I had some great galleries, don't get me wrong, and I've met some great dealers, and I've met some magnificent critics. But still, the nutritional pyramid for visual artists is artist at the top, buyers underneath that, pretty much critics and dealers come underneath that. So it's sacred. You've got to keep yourself sacred. You don't keep yourself sacred, and those big things. I did 100 works for Bergdorf Goodman, sold everything I showed for them. Had nothing to do with an art gallery. I just, and I made major bank, and they never took a cent. So the whole thing, what I'm trying to say is that if you hang around was to have hung around and look at other people's judgment, there is no way I would have built a whole lifetime worth of sculpture. And I left exhibiting in 2008 because I realized that there's only so many years I can afford to fill a gallery. So I went, I don't want to fill galleries. I want to become the best sculptor I can. And that includes making a lot of really ugly work that you'd never show. So I realized, do I want to put 50% of my energy into making money for other people, or do I want to put 100% of energy into making good art? So that's what I did, because it is a choice.
Well, that's a great point. It is a great point. So now,
yeah.
So now you have half an acre where you can
2.5 acres.
2.5 acres where you can build whatever the heck you want.
Like Noah Purifoy. Yeah. I'm out here next to Noah. Yeah. He was one of my inspirations. But I also have very big kilns that I can work in if I want to, as gifts from a patron of mine. And so I have help. I ran the bronze foundry at a college for years, 7 years, while I taught how to make a living as an artist. So I got all my bronzes done. But I'm just actually about to call up a friend of mine and say, I need to weld up a new kiln. You're my master welder. Can you come and work with me? Because I'm a bit of a crap welder, actually, truth be told. I'm not so good at welding. But yeah, anyway, I have 2.5 acres right across the road from an elementary school by choice. I teach little ones, 5 to 12, ceramic sculpture. And I've been doing it for 12 years. So I wanted to be across the road and a major influence. So all the time, that's what the kids see when they come out. They see all these wild things on 2.5 acres. They don't just go to school normally.
I wish I was 5-year-old and took classes from you.
Yeah, I love it. I love teaching. It makes my heart happy. I'd quit college to be able to teach the little ones. Yeah.
That's amazing. So how did you end up in Southern California?
Well, I had a baby. We had a great place in New York, my ex-husband and I. He's Australian. But when the first baby came, even though we had a brilliant loft downtown, I just didn't feel safe anymore. And that was sort of like a premonition, because that building's not there after 9/11. We left 2 years before. And Buckminster Fuller, he's a designer guy, did the geodesic dome. He said, the greatest gift you can give a child is the gift of nature. So when I had my first baby, I just thought, my child needs a gift of nature. Well, New York isn't nature. I was tired of competing with the scale of the buildings as a sculptor. I wanted to be in human scale. So I've got one place, which is in Silverado Canyon, which is near Mission Viejo, Orange County, behind Laguna Beach. And that was fantastic, a 120-year-old dance hall. But it wasn't flat enough. It wasn't big and open, and the space between this desert floor and the stars, and it didn't give proper scale as a human being, which I think is really important in sculpture. So that's how I ended up in Southern California. And I mean, this is where I make my living primarily. People come, they buy work, and then, or they're designers and they come and they buy for clients, a lot of people. So I got a bit of a following, and I don't give 50% to a gallery. So bloody nice gig.
Yeah, sounds like it. So how do you feel where you live right now? It's a desert, right? And
brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said that you grew up on the ocean and it was a huge influence on you. So now you are in a completely opposite situation. So how does it make you feel? Well,
sometimes I look at the mountains, like back in Joshua Tree, and I think, I just wish behind those big boulders there was a beach. But we have a different sort of water system here. We have hot springs and stuff. But I get to go back to Australia a lot, except for COVID. And in fact, actually, I'm just putting together some stuff now for clients back there. So I'll be traveling back with suitcases full of tuftings and paintings. So I'll make money. It's good fun. But I love the desert because it's flat. I don't really miss the water because I travel into Orange County every week, so I swim. But I think it was necessary to find a space that was big enough to hold a vision without, and of course Joshua Tree is very inspiring with its forms and its boulders and everything, but I'm not really influenced by that. I'm influenced by reading and stuff. I needed a place of calm. In fact, I'm trying to put together a show right now. Hopefully it's got to get big golden buzzer, called 21 Reasons Why. and it's 21 women artists who live in the high desert.
Nice.
And why we ended up here. So I have a nice big museum that I'm in negotiations with, but I can't say who yet because I don't have the big thumbs up yet. So, and all of us women have moved there for a reason. There's a reason why single women live up here and do phenomenal stuff. I mean, Jason Momoa lives up here. He's not a woman, though. The guy from Psychedelic Furs lives up here. Like, tons of really great creatives live up here. And we've sort of almost magnetized each other.
Yeah, I know. I've met some, and it's just, yeah, it's really amazing. It's actually, I don't know if you're aware. Last time we went to Joshua Tree, I met a lady who, I think she's running a little gift shop in downtown Joshua Tree, but she also is a podcast host, and she is actually meeting and talking to women who purposefully moved to high desert specifically. So that would be interesting. I'll find the link. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's a lot I don't know because even though I'm incredibly social when I go out, I'm also incredibly private because I'm busy. I'm working. I moved here to work.
I know. I was trying to get you on the podcast for like half a year.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's totally fine. I know. And it's so exciting. The work that you were doing is just.
Well, it's not that it's what happens is I get transported. And then the next thing I know, I'm like in the zone of something else, completely different. So, yeah, it's not, I mean, I'm very, very social and I very much support what artists do and podcasts and stuff like that. And I'm not anything special. I just get really busy.
I totally get it.
I
get it.
Right? Yeah. Anyway.
So let's talk about your inspiration. You said that you are not interested in anyone else's art for most part.
Mm-hmm.
You are inspired by not even by the boulders and Joshua Tree, but you were inspired by reading, right? What is
reading?
Like what reading? Probably something else. So
yeah,
can you talk a little bit more?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I'm very interested. I've got like 4 or 5 different big projects going on right now, all in different mediums. Usually when I find something that turns me on, like I was working with different forms of energy thought, right? Thoughts of energy. So you got nuclear energy, it's all about potential. Well, it started with potential energy. What is potential energy, right? So anyway, so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, what's energy? Great. Okay. So I started investigating different forms of energy. I can't even find my notes. You'd laugh so hard if you saw my notes. Oh, I can't even find them. Anyway, it's around here on a piece of paper somewhere. But so that's going to be the next series of tufting I'm doing. You've got what sort of energies are there in the electrical energy, nuclear energy, all these. So that's one thing. And then I've got another thing, which is a movement thing. And so with making paintings move, but not in the computer. So all these final ideas come from contemporary things that I can find a craft for or a medium. So say right now, I could walk over here and I could tell you what books I'm reading. You're going to laugh. They're in my reading corner, right? So here we go. These are what I'm reading right now. I'm going to flip you. And I know you can't really see it, but, there. Hold on. Found it. Okay. So here's my reading. These are the books I'm reading right now. So everything I've got to do is a lot of brain stuff. This guy's a man who couldn't stop, Other Minds, Octopuses, Unfuck Yourself, Mental Health, Bruce Chatwin, Anatomy of Restlessness, Buckminster Fuller, Always Buck, Tiles, Adobe, so it's always things that are different, but they'll fit in the next week. So yeah, I get most of my influence from books. Actually, I get a lot of my influence from my dreams when I wake up. I just go, wow, that's a beautiful thought. I wonder what can happen in there, because I'm an abstract artist. I don't make stuff I don't make stuff to make people. I don't paint pictures of my environment. I'm trying to understand my own culture. And it's not that I don't like other artists or look at other artists. I do, but most of them are on social media that I look at. So I have a great group of people I watch who are all over the world. And they're not famous artists. They're just artists doing really cool stuff. So, yeah, I mean, living an interesting life makes interesting work. So I would say that's my influence. My influence is interesting things, people. Science, for gosh sakes, science blows my brain, what's happening right now, especially with the wormhole quantum stuff. When you speak here, they hear it at the end of the universe, a lot of stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. And can I just can I just say that I'm a little bit taken aback, like, by just the force of your energy, like the way you're moving, talking, like throwing books out. It's just I wish people who are listening to this podcast were able to see, like, being part of this conversation, because it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. I wanted to talk a little bit. I wanted to ask you about the mediums, because it seems like you have such a versatile and amazing choice of mediums, and like only those that I have seen on your website is anything from concrete to stitching and tufting, and there's bronze and there's ceramics and there's all kinds of stuff.
Printmaking. I do everything. Well, the thing for me is that I'm a master crafts person. I mean, in front of the American Museum of Ceramic Art are two of my major works. They're 12 years old. And all these people are like kicking it into clay now, going, oh, clay, clay, clay. And I'm thinking, dudes, I was scratching, doing 12-foot high forms, mucking up, pulling down, working in cheap kilns, struggling things together, building my own glazes 30 years ago. See, that's because I've got to be a secret. So the thing about it is that if I don't know something, there's government websites that teach me about certain forms of concrete that I can investigate, and concretes and fibers and stuff like that. There's other, I don't know if that's my cat, but anyway, there's the clay thing. There's YouTube. There's other artists, but I don't like to reach out. Like my concrete mix, which is a piece over here, which I've just bought inside because the winds were so high. This concrete piece here, right?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, big concrete. Well, this is from a concept about whether or not the earth got hit by rocks, which stimulated the thonics. Oh, you're in my kitchen. I work all over my house. Whether or not the human beings were created because we got hit by an alien rock into the earth, which stimulated clay, which can hold single cells and produce first organisms, which is a science thing, right? So it goes, sapiogenesis is what it's called. So it took me 7 years to develop this lightweight concrete. And then people go, oh, do you buy that lightweight concrete and spray it on? I'm going, no, because it doesn't make it look like it's a sculpture then. It just looks like it's a rendered form, So mine has these beautiful finger strokes and hand strokes, and how do I make it look organic, and be alive, sort of thing. So the medium is basically, if you don't know something, go to YouTube. If you really got to learn something, find a good educator in a community college and attach onto them, So, yeah, I like concrete. I love big clay. I love stitching. I'm working on big stitching ones in the corner here. I love tufting. I was doing tons of fabrics. And then I got obsessed with, in the olden days, you used to be able to buy the fabric with the print liquid on it, sort of thing. And then I got obsessed with, this is me and my printmaking, right? Crazy. I got obsessed with the actual paper that the silk comes on, right? So I started all these stitching things, So that was the start of stitching. And then you go, oh, well, okay, that was really good fun. And then it snows. So then I run outside and I get a whole lot of beautiful watercolor paper, and I bury it under the snow, and then I paint on top of that. Then I got to wait for the snow to melt, and then I get these great snow paintings, So,
wow.
So it's if you're in your element and exploring your element, and this is the number one for. I'd love to be able to say this to every artist. I'd love to whisper in their ear saying, if you do not care about anybody else's journey except yours, artistic journey. And if you do not care, like I'm a master sculptor, I don't care what anybody says anymore. They could say, I don't like your work, I think it's shitty. I'll say, well, you're entitled to your opinion. Now moving right along. But if I could whisper in anyone's art ear, do not care, Because if you're a good artist, you should be working at least 7 years in the future. And the reason why I say 7 years is that they say that's when, trauma and mental stuff goes on in the humanness. They count it in the sevens. So I'd say, just do your own journey, man. That's how I've become able to work in whatever I work in. Do I think, I'd love a big gallery to come and put me in there? I go, no. Because what would happen then is that people would be expecting a certain amount of work and a certain level of work, and I won't get to make a lot of mistakes. And people will be writing about what I do, and that will affect my spirit. Let them write about it when I'm dead, and I couldn't care less what they think. I've got enough clients that come by and are very generous and buy work. Not everybody has that, but I've eaten a lot of rice as well, So I don't want anybody to say anything that would change my direction, which is really important, because a lot of people, a dealer might say, well, I really like this, and then the artist does 50 of them. And then they're left with 49 because the dealer can't sell them. What a waste of energy. What a waste of materials. What a waste of headspace. What a waste of spirit space. It's rubbish. So don't play the game. It's not art. The art scene is not art. We are the art. Breathing, spirit.
Yeah, that's a very important message.
Well, I've lived it. I'm 59 years old. This is all I've done since I was 19 and finished art school. Wow. I feel sad for the art scene sometimes. It really makes me unhappy because I see all these wonderful creatives and they just have their hearts broken, and then they don't continue. And if anybody's ever read Sir Ken Robinson's book called The Element, which you should all read as artists, it says that we all develop at different times, different potential attributes. We might play the piano at 5 and be crap at it, and then play the piano at 30 and be great. So that fluidity is what we should be teaching in art elements of school and development. So, that's my big message.
Well, and I assure you that there are at least a few years that you can whisper into if you're listening to this podcast.
I hope so.
Right, almost 100% of them are artists. So, and I think it's a great message. It's a great message. It's absolutely important. Hey, In the Art Scene listeners. I just wanted to say a quick thank you for all the support you've given me in the past year. It means more than you know. Every donation through Buy Me a Coffee and every purchase of swag helps me keep up with the production and put out a new episode every week. And I certainly appreciate if you will keep doing it. But I also feel that if you like the show this much, you deserve a little more than just a thank you. This is why I launched a Patreon page. There will be monthly live Q&As, exclusive content, and for the hardcore fans, I got some swag and keepsakes. I love this community that we are building together, and by joining my Patreon, you will help me create more content for you. Go to patreon.com/intheartscene and join today. Hey, remember I said I'm a one-woman show? Well, there's a little more to it. Being a busy mom, an artist, and entrepreneur is not easy. There's just not enough hours in a day to do everything I need to do and produce a podcast. And let's be honest, I know close to nothing about the sound production and editing. This is why I use Fiverr. I have found the most amazing professional editor who's been a part of my team since season 2. Fiverr is an amazing resource, especially for artists whose precious time should be spent in the studio and not at the computer. You can literally find everyone you need, from virtual assistants to web designers and SEO specialists, to help you run the business side of your art practice, and for any budget as well. Go to intheartscene.com/Fiverr to get connected with professionals who will help you get the things done. Oh my God, I am just jealous about your students. I'm just jealous because what a great teacher. It's not only can they learn from you how to work with different mediums, but having a teacher who is teaching all these life lessons and what is important, what is not. It's like it's really Yeah, it's really unconventional and it's so rare.
Yeah, well, I taught at a college and I was so a community college and I was so taken aback by the limited, my classes were always packed, because I wrote that class. I wrote how to make a living as an artist and not get stooped. But I think, I lived it. I didn't have an art teaching job that gave me money to pay my mortgage or my rent. I didn't have an art teaching job to buy my materials. I didn't have an art teaching job to show me in their bourgeois university galleries that you don't have to have sales because you're a professor. I didn't have any of that. I just worked, I just worked and I worked and I worked and I breathed and I worked and I didn't listen to one person unless they were better than me, which, well, basically stopped after about 15 years. And then I didn't listen to anybody else's opinion of my work. But yeah, I think the teaching for me is a way of paying back to society. And I'm very lucky that I've taught my youngest student 5 and my eldest was 96.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can actually get me for 2 hours. Sometimes I do it on Airbnb experiences where I let people come in and learn from me for 2 hours. So sometimes I do that and I do these little groups because I have I think that that's important to be accessible still. So that's how I'm accessible. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's fun.
Amazing.
It's fun. And the property is full of sculptures. It's the wildest thing you've ever seen. People flip out and it's fun.
You're like 3 hours drive away from me. I'm gonna visit you for sure.
Come stay in
For
my
sure.
casita.
I will.
It's good fun. And everybody comes. We have this thing called the Highway 62 Art Tours. And it's 3 weekends in October. And it's packed. My property is packed with people just wandering, looking at big forms. And there's nothing for sale. I don't sell on these things. I say, welcome to my sculpture garden. Have a lovely time. It's the point of giving and not taking is what art is about, giving, not taking. And if you're lucky enough to sell a piece to pay your mortgage or your rent, brava. If you're not, find something else to do so you don't ruin your work and your journey. Like I teach after school class. It's the best thing I've ever done. I can make $1,000 an hour doing that. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
True story.
Wow. Okay. So you mentioned the class that you wrote.
How to make a living as an artist and
not
get
stooped, which is amazing. Is it available as a book somewhere?
No, not yet. I have actually taught it a few times at Palm Springs Art Museum and I taught it at community college. And I will probably do a book as soon as I finish the other 5 projects I've got on the burner because, people who follow me on my Instagram, the only thing I can tell people, the only advice I have is do not listen to anyone else. Be respectful of other people's work because they probably have as much soul in their work as you do. So never be rude to another artist about their work. Never say it's hurting my eyes or that's crap or anything like that. And then follow your own path. I can't teach anybody anything else. That's all I can teach you is believe in yourself. There's a reason you're doing this. It's like people who can run Olympic races, they do it because they can and they work really hard to do it. It's the same with visual arts. I come from a science family and an art family, 6 kids, mum and dad, both science and arts. But if you're doing it, you're not doing it because you can't do anything else. Jesus, there'd be an easier way to make a living. You're doing it.
Sure.
It's because it's your soul. It's your spirit. You are put here on this planet. I was put here on this planet to make these beautiful phonic of the underground works to become these wonderful big forms that reach up to the ethereal. That's my job. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm not doing it for your money. I'm not doing it for your museum. I'm not doing it for your gallery. I'm doing it because I have been given a gift that I work hard at bringing to light.
I actually had a question about phonic and ethereal because I saw it on your website and I was like, what the heck is that?
Phonic means of the underground, right? So I work primarily in clay. And right now I'm working on a lot of projects where I'm digging down into the earth. These will be for next October, but I've started the I've got two that are already exhibited here on my property. But sonic means to come down from under the earth and bring the earth above. Now, whether you're going to do it in forms like Amulatum Menairs, Menairs, like the big Easter Island, they're a Menair, or the Doloms of the Celts or whatever. And then, so I'm very interested in bringing things from underneath to the surface, and that comes in many metaphors. And then the ethereal is not just representative of the sky and the stars above, which is very much the desert, but the ethereal is in meaning, sacred light itself. So sonic and to the ethereal is basically the space in between that I'm working in. Now, whether that's human scale or larger, I'm a primary sculptor. Everything I do is with my hands. I don't have assistants building, nothing. All my work is by my own lifting and building. So everything I make, I get to infuse. I'm not designing ahead of time, giving it to a foundry and saying, take this 2-foot piece and put it in a maker bot and make it 20 feet and put it in front of a building. That's design, Sorry, but it is. Maybe your maquette, your small piece might be art, but by the time you get into in front of a building or getting other people to make it, you've shifted the difference between art and design. That is the difference. So the artist's hand makes art. The designer makes objects.
It makes sense. The way you said it, that you infuse it, by touching it with your hands.
Always. That's where the magic
amazing.
goes. I don't even know what I'm building when I start. I probably draw 150 drawings a week. If you walked into my studio, you just start laughing. But I never draw a sculpture. I've never drawn a sculpture and then built it. I've never made a maquette. I've got cabinets full of maquettes. Hold on. I've never done that. I've never taken all these small little glass maquette things that are in these cabinets and made them big. I just make them as on their own force, like if it's 4 inches tall, it could be as beautiful as if it was 12 feet tall. And it should be, because I'm a master sculptor. If I can't make something as a master sculptor 12 feet tall by my own 2 hands, I should be working at 6 feet tall. If I can't make it at 6 feet tall with power and energy, I should be working at 3. If I can't do it at 3, I should be working at 6. Miniature work is just as good as big 12-foot sculptures, I do have a limit, though. I found a limit the other day for my lifters. They said, no bigger than that, Cybele. We can't pick it up. Sorry. I use power lifters.
So what's the limit?
It was 750 pounds.
Wow.
A concrete work that went into a commission in Palm Desert. Because these people, they said, you know us, Belle, you know us. And I said, well, I do. We've had lunch a couple of times. You've been to my property a few times, and they were becoming friends. And they said, we've poured you a slab on our new house in Palm Desert, and that's for you. Build us a sculpture that says us. So I built them a big human shell as temple, which means that it's just big open shell like a Byzantine halo that starts at your ankles and goes all the way over. And in the inside, I worked on the Sumerian lion sculpture, which is a 4-inch tall, very powerful handheld sculpture. They think it's one of the oldest sculptures in the world. So the lion is on the inside because that's what she identifies with. She told me that was her totem. And he is a white bull on the outside of this temple, this big hollow shell that wraps. You can stand inside this big hollow concrete shell. And I had a big lazy Susan steel thing built. We went to install, and, man, I used these weightlifters, and they just said, man, that's it. You can't do anything bigger than that. But that's how I make, enough money to pay my mortgage twice a year in one work.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, and no gallery is going to blow smoke up my butt saying, you're such a great artist, you're such a great artist, you're such a great artist, if you can't make the work. A lot of people think that if they paint the pictures, they get the shows, they get the fame, they get the money, and they become a great artist. No, that's the exact opposite of the way it's meant to go. You become a great artist, and then you set the limits of how you want to be seen. But become a great artist first. You don't ask a gallery to make you a great artist. They're just making money to pay their mortgage. You become a great artist, and then it'll work out from there. That's my big thing I could whisper in every artist's ear. So then you hold all the power,
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm in awe the way you were describing how you work with earth and how you were getting stuff from underneath. And you mentioned a couple of projects. So I actually have a question. Like on your Instagram, it actually says that you do no harm, especially to the ants, because they are ultimate earth movers. I am really curious about that.
Well, I've seen people, right? They destroy ants. And when I did a show for the World Women's Art Show with Hillary Clinton many years ago in the World Bank, and we were brought from all over the world, to build whatever we were showing. Anyway, it was a big show. And I focused this work on the Australian termite hills of Australia. I built them in ceramic. They now reside in a nudist colony in upstate New York, but that's another story. It was a good sale. It was Medscape. And they've all got a story behind them. But anyway, so yes, the ants are the ultimate builders, and they work in unison, but they work alone. I'm really happy amongst my tribe, but I also work alone. And if people didn't see the work, would I still be building the work? Yes. But that people see the work is a lovely gift and enriches their life and enriches mine, and we have dialogue. So, yeah, I'm big on the underneath, and I get furious. Somebody was posting this thing, and it keeps cropping up on my feed, and I have no idea why, that they pour molten metal down into ant hills, and then they dig it out and they call it sculpture. I hope you go to Hades for that move. How dare you? How dare you destroy an object of their civilization?
I think
and then put it in a gallery and call it art. You have no spirit, no soul, no nothing.
I think I've seen it. Yeah.
That's disgusting. Done by a man, of course. A woman wouldn't do that. We wouldn't kill anything, I hope. But anyway, right now I'm working with Phonic Eternal Tears. So eternal tears from the underground. So I'm becoming a plumber, which is really interesting. And the way I'm becoming a plumber is I'm renovating my bathrooms first, but I've already worked it out how to do it, but I'm practicing in my own bathrooms. So I've done these two works that I have in existence right now. You'll see them online if you do, where they continually recycle pump of water. So they cry very slowly. They cry. And when I first built it, I was building out on my back studio, which is open to the sky. And this hummingbird, I turned it on. I didn't know if it was going to work or not, plugged it all together, jerried it together, put the hose on, turned the tap, I thought, shivers, I hope it's going to work, right? Because, of course, I don't do any testing. I just build this, 6-foot sculpture and go, I hope it's going to work. And I turned it on. And I was sitting there, and all of a sudden this water dripped out up the top and then started slowly rolling down this colourful form, which I built in concrete. And this hummingbird came over, took the drop, it was a perfect drop of water, flew straight to my face, flew in my face like they do, hovered, and then split. And that's what I was building. I was building a gift for the birds because they like to move in water. So Phonic Eternal Tears is a works that I'm working on for October's tour that I will use recycle pumps, and I make them always cry, never-ending tears in the desert, always crying work. So when they're on, they have these little pumps, so they do no harm. They don't waste water, and I feed the birds.
Wow.
And they're very pretty and aesthetic, and they're very powerful. They're very amulatum. A lot of my work is amulatum for people, so I don't have to run to the dictionary. Sometimes I do this. Sorry about that. That just means in protection. Yeah.
I am definitely visiting you.
Yeah, come on out.
Absolutely, because the way you're describing it, like I've seen the pictures, and your work is amazing, but the way you're describing it is just totally putting it in a different perspective. Absolutely.
Well, they don't. This is the thing about art, Galina. It's like that art isn't just about like making something so people can have it. It's not about ownership. Art's about understanding and helping others understand. And hopefully, like somebody the other day was in the art tours, this lady, and she's followed my work for years, and she finally came to meet me, and she said, she burst into tears after we were talking for a little while, and she's my age, and she just says, I can't express it, but every time you do something, it's like you're explaining my spirit, how I feel. Every time I look at one of your works that you put up online, a new work, she says, I grow. And I go, well, that's because we're all connected. Like you've got priests that get up there and bang on in religion. You've got your monks, you've got this, you've got that. Well, artists are supposed to hold the same level of spiritual respect for human beings. And if we're being true to ourselves, and I don't mean that I'm anything great, but I'm certainly respectful. And when I build in that level of respect, it is with spirit and love. The money and exhibitions is the lowest thing on my list because it's just not what art is.
That's beautiful.
Just live cheaper if you can't live in or marry well. I don't care. Or inherit the earth or go work as a school teacher. It's what I did to support myself, after school programs. I didn't have any money. No.
So how many children do you have?
I just have two. Yep.
Two, and they're all grown up.
No, one's 25 soon and the other one's 17. So 17. One's finishing high school. Okay. Yep. She's called Galatea. So it's like your name, Galina.
Oh, nice.
And the big boy's Zach. So he's finishing up at college. Yeah.
So how do they live with such a strong spirited mom artist?
Well, they don't really. Oh, my son, they love me. And hold on, let me just get rid of that. Okay. Sorry, people calling in, go away. We love each other tremendously. I am very aware of not being nepoteunistic upon them. I'm super aware to not enforce, because I know the power that my world spins in, so I'm very conscious to not, it's like, okay, how's this for an example? When I got divorced, it was very painful because a lot of very bad things happened. My father died, everything happened in the space of a year. I just went, what the hey? And I had this huge, big bowl of pain, like a singing bowl of pain, because it kept going round and round and making the sound. It never dropped, never stopped. It was a singing bowl of pain. And I realized that I kept wanting to give it to other people. Here's my singing bowl of pain. Will you ease it? Will you take it? Will you take it? Will you take it? Well, nobody can take it. Nobody can take your singing bowl of pain until you make the sound so long that it eventually goes, right? So that's what raising children is. I don't give them my singing bowl of pain ever. And I learnt that because I did it. So I didn't mean to do it. I didn't have the consciousness of what I was doing. And I realized that I did it. And so now when things happen where there is pain or where there is sadness or where there is whatever, I have to be, I'm very aware of where those emotions go. And if I can't deal with it, then I go to somebody I pay to deal with it. Or I make a sculpture. I can't tell you, I just sold these two pieces together. Firstly, funny story, because I delivered the wrong piece to the house. And then like a month later, they contacted me and they said, are you sure this is the same piece as the other one? Because somebody just said that looks really different to the piece of the photo that I sent. I said, oh my God, that's the different piece. They go, oh, no worries, bring us the other one. We'll have two. I'm going, well, there's a good sale. But it was handling my pain. And it was because I broke up with somebody and I had so much pain. So I built these big ceramic forms with these big handles on them. It was called Handling My Pain. And so through meditation of working, through building, it went. I had another tremendously sad thing happen, and I built a huge bull, a 12-foot bull, a big white terabolium, they're called. Terabolium, sacred bulls. Sacred
him, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you read about what a terabolium bull is and the sacred messages in between, blah, 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 big freaking story. So, yeah. My kids grow up with a very forceful mother, but I'm not forceful at them. I'm only forceful at me. I stick it in the singing bowl and work it out. And I would suggest people do that, because if you keep giving it to other people, it just keeps coming back because they go, oh, sorry, we don't want it. We can't deal with it. Will you take my pain? No, sorry. Another relationship. Will you take my pain? No, sorry. So, yeah. But I love my kids madly. I love them more than anything. In fact, when my children were born, my first one in New York, he was born in Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan. There was this one there was this sacred rush of air when he was actually delivered, because delivered naturally. And it went through my mouth and through my whole body as he was being birthed. It was like a rush, like a vacuum, like suction. And as soon as that suction, it was like the breath of a God, the breath of the universe, the breath of life. And I realized I have no fear. And it was the same thing when my dad died. I understood all the best parts of him are in me. We are all one great big tendril plant, especially our families, our genetic links. So that tendril of giving birth, they were sacred. They're on their own. They've made me a valid part of the tree, if you want, the tendril of the plant. My dad dying, I understand my dad better in death than I did in life because I am him. I'm that tendril moving along, like a passion fruit vine.
Yeah. No, I totally get it when you're talking about giving birth. The reason I was asking about children is just because I have 7 months old.
It's the best thing you'll ever do in your life. You'll never stop loving them.
Yeah, and he's incredibly cute, and I'm kind of trying to balance that, like being a mom, being an artist, all that.
There is
stuff.
no balance. You are one. You are mama. Mama is the most powerful thing in the world. You are mother. You have created life. You might create paintings, pictures, photos, drawings, sculptures, but man, you just created life.
Yeah, and when you were telling about when you were saying like you have no fear, like the breath of God came through your body, same thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and nobody talks about that, do they?
No.
They all say, when to ask for the drugs? Well, you better ask for the epidural. It's like, man, wait for the sacred rush of air. It's going to blow your socks off. You'll never think of life the same way when it happens. You'll never think about being alive the same way.
Absolutely.
After that sacred rush of air. And I thought all I could think of was, I can die now. My job here is done. In fact, actually, I did a whole series because my second baby I had late. I was 42. And I had a C-section with her because my son, who was born first, we had some trouble with the birthing stuff. But that didn't, he's fine, I'm fine, whatever. But the second baby, when the guy who did the surgery, he'd already done surgery on me. So he delivered for me. And the next series I did were all these husks, these big, raw, ceramic seed pod husks, because I had my tubes tied.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I felt. I just thought, well, great. I'm a husk now. I can do whatever I want. I've done the whole organic, had babies, luscious and all that jazz. I can just husk away, do whatever I want, But, yeah, you're going to love it. You are mama. Mama, I was building huge sculptures in my lounge room with my baby strapped on my front, and there's this magazine photo of Galatea with clay hanging out of her mouth, right? Because she's actually grabbed clay. And these are like huge 10-foot tall sculptures, right? And then my son, there's photos in another magazine where I actually have him in the baby bouncer thing, one of those little lying down ones.
Uh-huh.
And he's tiny. He's only like 2 weeks old. And I'm drawing, and these photos of me drawing all the way up this great big, enormously long table. So I just strapped on my babies and I kept working. Now, the reason why I did that was to stop postpartum depression.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or do you?
Well, I just think that all women who are makers or builders or artists or creatives, if they have another entity that comes from even though they give you 9 months prep time of puking and getting used to it and fat ankles and all the rest, you don't realize how life-changing having a baby is and how much it's like running a marathon, man. You just got to stay alive and keep the baby alive. And it's hard work. And no one understands because they don't have sore tits and they don't have like body stuff they've got to take care of, right? Feeding babies. So my advice is strap your baby on in a Baby Bjorn or whatever you use and do not stop working at all. And even if you have to shift mediums because you can't walk into your steel mill or Paul Bronze or something, draw, paint, stitch, whatever you got to do. Don't stop creating. Write every day because you're, number one, you'll be getting divine inspiration. You'll be thinking things that you've never thought of, right? Because you're being gifted with a whole nother way of you and powerful gift of a whole nother way of you. Because even though we enter the world with 2 heartbeats. We leave with one, right? So we've got our mum's heartbeat and our heartbeat. So when we're evolving, when we're tiny as little bubbies, we still need to be on that heartbeat. So the baby needs to be on your heartbeat and you need to have the baby's heartbeat in you because you guys aren't disconnected yet. So when we have these babies and we take them away from ourselves and we put them in a creche and we go off to work or something, no wonder there's mental distress. So Yeah, I mean, that's to women creatives or all women. I don't know all women. I've only been a creative, and my mum had 6 babies. I only had 2, but strap them on. Even your 7-month-old, my kids were in my studio working in clay when they could walk.
Oh,
and realize,
he's not far behind. He's crawling already, so
mate,
he'll be walking soon, and yeah, he will make a mess with mama.
good. Because guess what? Language, and it's like for babies, is like me trying to speak Japanese. They can't express themselves. So why wouldn't they express themselves in audio and visual? Because right now their audio learning is fantastic because that's what they're putting out, right? And their visual learning is fantastic because that's what they're sucking in, right? So words, almost like we introduced them too early, they're limiting. Mama, dada, baba. Give them a piece of paper and some crayons and see what they say. There's so much more than, do you know what I mean? Like that's their communication. Give them clay. That's why I'm with the babies. That's their communication, Don't wait for them to say their first sentence of, can I have a piece of pizza, please, with my bosom mum?
Oh, my God.
Funny, but it happened. Yeah.
Oh, my God. You're amazing.
No, it's funny, right?
Yeah, it is.
Laugh.
So we are actually at the top of the hour. I still want to talk to you a little bit more if you have time.
Yeah, I've got time.
And I'll probably make it like a separate extra piece of content because I try to keep the podcast like caught at the hour because
people know what they're doing then.
Yeah, well, it's just it's an amazing thing, and I keep saying on every episode, like I can talk to everyone who's coming on the podcast for like 2-3 hours because there's no like limit, there's no shortage, and I'm just soaking in all this inspiration. It's amazing to be present at another artist's life and receive that information. To me, this is the best gift ever.
So I was going to say, you are a channel. This is your art as well. You wonder about being a mama and being as an artist. You're a channel. You're a channeler of you're a lightning rod.
This is the way I'm trying to give back to community as well.
You're a lightning rod, and it is a really seriously brilliant gift that you're giving.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Thank you for being there.
Yeah, so I would like to cut the episode right here because no one is going to listen to more than 1 hour, but I still want to keep talking to you because I just want to. All right, everybody, this is the end of the episode. We'll see you in the art scene. And if you want to listen more of Cybele, well, I'll let you know where to go.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Galina.
It has been another episode of In the Art Scene podcast. If you liked today's conversation, please give us a good review on Apple and go listen to other great stories. Check out our website intheartscene.com or follow us on Instagram at intheartscene for more content. If you are a creative and you want to share your story, shoot us a message from the website or DM us on Instagram. Look forward to seeing you next time in the art scene.